Welcome, everybody, to an all-new episode of GVN Interview. I am joined today, or me and Joel are joined today, by a legend, the great Ernie Altbacker. How you doing, Ernie?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm really good. We were really excited to do this talk with you. Joel just got off and was like, all right, yes, let me join. So I'm very excited to talk with you. First, I want to start off with congratulations on the success of the new release of Constantine, House of Mystery. Very, very, very good. Just got finished watching it again. Can I just say you are one of my favorite writers when it comes to Constantine. Like I really do believe certain people just understand certain characters. What is it about Constantine that just like really clicks with you whenever you're writing for Constantine?
Well, it's one of my favorite like types of characters, which is bastard with the heart of gold, right? So he's kind of crappy as an individual, but when it comes down to it, he's trying to do good things,
Right.
but he's also very anti-hero-esque in that like Superman would never like toss someone as a sacrifice to a demon to like save, to plug up the demon gate, right? Like Superman's not doing that. He's like, I'm saving everyone. Constantine's like, boop, uh-oh, we're gonna have to lose you. You're not a very good person anyway, but so I'm gonna have to use you in this way. So I just think those characters are fascinating, and that's why I like them.
See, one of the things I love about this movie coming out when it did is, so we just left March, right? Where March was a month of Batman and Moon Knight, and you constantly got a lot of people that aren't familiar with Moon Knight going, it's just Marvel's Batman. Then you have this coming out around the time of multiverse, in the multiverse of madness, right? So what I love about what you were able to structure with this is just again hitting home the drastic differences between the two characters, right? To where it's clear cut the lines Constantine will cross, right? And then you watch Multiverse of Madness and you see the lines Doctor Strange is not willing to cross, and you kind of go, well, that's the difference there, right? Like Constantine, like you said, I will throw you to the wolves if I believe it will get the job done. So like when you're writing stuff like this, does that ever like into your head of like, how can I structure Constantine so it's never a question of like, oh, well, what does Constantine do differently than a Doctor Strange on the other side?
Well, I don't really, do the comparison thing of like, oh, Doctor Strange seems to have quite a code, and even though it looks like he's screwing everybody over, really he's saving everybody, but he couldn't tell you. So, and then he's very apologetic about not, about scaring you, right? Whereas I think the cooler character is Constantine, where the audience must wonder, well, what is he gonna do? Oh my God, is he gonna sacrifice a small child? Oh no, John, don't do that. Don't. And then you're like, well, we don't know. He might do it. Right? Like, depends how worried he is about he wouldn't do it for himself to save himself, but he would to save like the earth or whatever. He's very much, he's the anti Star Trek of the needs of the one are not going to get in the way of the needs of the many for John Constantine. It's about the many, So yeah, I guess it's just it's a little bit more of a complex character to see when he picks what side to be on. Of like, nope, can't cross this line, because you don't know. Right. You don't know if there's a line that he's not going to cross. So
I know one of the things me and Joel talked about when we watched Apocalypse War was the decision Constantine made in that, and how that kind of was just like, oh wow. So kind of seeing the ramifications of everything that falls out from that. So we're now in a whole new sandbox when it comes to this DC animated universe that we're in here. So I want to ask you about a specific character in this new animated short, which, by the way, is that is that a thing going forward of animated shorts that are connected to the universe, or is this just like a one-off, like a bridge? Because this was something I really enjoyed, but then part of me was just like, I wanted more, like immediately, like as soon as it hit the end credits. I was just like, oh, Ernie robbed me. There was so much more I was looking forward to. So was this like a concept that like you had of it being a short, or was it approached for it to be a short?
Well, I mean, DC does do these showcase shorts to put on the DTVs for the feature length ones, usually with characters that are not as popular, that might not get their due ever. So give them a short, and maybe something happens. Maybe they're included in a team up or something like that, right? To get them a little more famous. This actually, I think, is a Jim Krieg idea, that the shorts are going to be canon in whatever the continuity does. Some of them, not all of them, you know. Although maybe he'll figure out a way to make every single thing part of the canon, you know. He likes doing stuff like that. But in this case, so the short had to work. It had to work in like multiple ways. It had to work as a standalone with a person who doesn't know heroes and comics at all, right? But also we had a chance to put a coda onto James Tucker's 16 movie Tuckerverse continuity, right? That this was an extra thing because they wanted to do a House of Mystery, right? So once the choice was saying like, well, we're doing the House of Mystery, someone's got to be in the House of Mystery. When they chose John Constantine, that's when they were like, well, let's let Ernie do it. He's done Constantine, right? So once when we got that, then we got in the room, he was like, we can also make it refer back to, you know, the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And I'm like, really cool, you know? And the making of something, of anything, is like a stew. You get the first idea, like, wouldn't that be a cool team up? Or, you know, oh, this story seems kind of cool. And so there was, we got to do a House of Mystery. Let's have it star John Constantine. Hey, we can integrate it a little bit and give the fans of that 16 movie thing like a little extra. And then also we're both Doctor Who fans. And there was this this episode, a Capaldi episode that's I believe Steve Moffat wrote, called Heaven Sent, where he's trapped in a castle and he gets killed constantly, time and time again. It's like murder Groundhog Day, right? Is what we called it, right? And it's like, wouldn't that be interesting for Constantine to do also in the House of Mystery? And he has to figure out why it's happening. Right. So all of this stuff goes in the stew, and then it's the writer's job to make sure, or to do it in such a way that not only is it a seamless story, but it's also surprising. And oh yeah, look how well that was planned out. When in reality, nothing was planned when we started. We just kept like adding elements of story stew, you know.
Right. I mean, so the way this ends, and I'm trying not to be super spoily here, you know, but the way this ends, it seems like Constantine is being thrusted into what might be an event level kind of thing. So not obviously not specifics, but will we have to wait a long time to kind of see the events of how this ends play out for Constantine? Or is this something we could see? So again, not specifics, but is it going to be a while before we see this kind of play out?
And I cannot answer your question, but you got to think about Jim Krieg and how he hates disappointing people.
That is true.
That
is true. I do know that. We have me and Joel have met him a few times. And
but you know, you also you've got to take into account that if this is all there is, it's just a cool, you know, another element of the stew is let's do a Twilight Zone-y episode, right? There's different types of House of Mysteries, right? So this one was going to be a Twilight Twilight Zone episode where at the end it's one of those where you like open the door and you don't really see the monster, but the character screams, but you know what it was, right?
Right.
Like, oh my god. Sorry, I'm actually your view behind me is my view also, because there's a mirror behind me, so I can do something.
I saw that. I'm like, what is going on?
Look,
Yeah.
I thought you were just summoning
Yeah, right.
Constantine's powers or something like that. I didn't know what was going on.
What kind of witchcraft is going on here?
So no, but I really do love what you guys put together with this, because like I said, it's definitely hinting on what was, but venturing into what will be. So like I wanted to ask you this, coming from obviously what we got with the New 52 universe, heading into what it looks to be this newer universe. When you guys approach, oh, I'm sorry. Ooh, bless you. Bless you. No, you are fine. Bless you. As you enter into this new universe, is there a different approach, or is it more so just like we're going to continue to just tell really cool stories, bring really new visuals and whatnot? Or is there like a formulaic thing you guys approach when you're doing these universe builders?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's more the supervising producer, right? It goes by that. So before it was James Tucker, and
bless you. Bless you.
Yeah,
you are good.
And now it's Butch Lutzik, and so he's got ideas now. Butch doesn't share his ideas with the individual writer, but he and Jim are the masterminds of what is happening. You know, so
Okay.
I'm sure they have a plan, and it will become discernible at some point, and everybody's gonna go, oh wow, cool, you know. So.
Gotcha. That must be so much fun for you, right? Like someone going like, here's like a piece of it, right? And you're like, okay, I can make this piece of it whatever I want. And then you're like, well, what does it lead to? And they're like, oh no, we don't want to tell you that yet. Like, like just worry about this piece. And then when you get to see that, because obviously you'll get to see the full scale of it well before we do, but like that must be like so insane to know that like you're part of that puzzle, and then to see the full puzzle assembled. Like when you were doing that in the New 52 universe, we'll step out of this universe so we don't have to go into what you can't talk about. So we'll go backwards. We'll go to the New 52 universe. How much fun was that, like putting different pieces in and then seeing the puzzle as a whole once it's fully completed? Like you said, was it 16 movies that was part of that universe? So like how surreal was that to step back and see the full scale of it?
Well, sometimes, I mean, like my movies, except for Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which was key because it wrapped up everything.
Right.
Justice League Dark, Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, and Batman Hush were more, you know, minor parts of they weren't the main drivers of the Dark Side subplot, right? Those were, two of them were flat out adaptations of famous comic runs, right? Marv Wolfman, George Perez, recently passed, George Perez, the Judas Contract for the great Teen Titans run, and then Batman Hush with Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb, right? So those was more like, and Justice League Dark was just something new that they were going to try and bring on Constantine, but they paired him with Batman, right? So we'd have something. So what James will tell you here, read some of these other scripts or watch an animatic from the movie that's coming out right before yours, because it's got Lex Luthor and Rain. I'm forgetting his name. Rainn Wilson.
Right. Yeah.
Rainn Wilson is doing it, so you can like learn how he's doing the role, right? So you can hear a little bit of it or something, right? And he's going to be in Batman Hush, right? We're going to throw him in there. So I got to see, more than my piece. Like you're not kept like totally like a mushroom, in the dark, right?
Right.
But you're not seeing everything that the plan is, like when they came with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, it's like, this is going to be the big wrap up. And I'm like, what? When was this decided? Like, that was news to me. But that's when little things like me having done 3 different movies beforehand, like they came in, that they were helpful, and having watched them all, because you don't know when you're going to get another one. So they let you, like see Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay. It's like, oh, you got to check out, what do you call it? Captain Boomerang. Like voiced by Liam, what's his name, right?
McIntyre. Yeah, McIntyre.
Yeah, Liam McIntyre. He did some cool stuff with it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm putting that guy in the Suicide Squad, right? Like, why not? Like, because I hadn't written him before, right?
Right.
I hadn't seen the character, and so yeah. I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, you 100% did, because I always view James to be like Kevin Feige, right? So like you always hear actors in the MCU say like, no, I was only given like my portion of the script. I haven't seen the full script. So I imagine for some of the writers there, it's like, no, they maybe gave me like sprinkles here, but like I couldn't tell you really what the whole goal is outside of the individual projects that have something to do with me.
Like, we would put stuff in those first 3 movies. He would go, oh yeah, and be sure to use this character,
right?
And he's got to say something like this because we're gonna do something with it, right? So there were like little bits, and that really came to a head in the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Like it was. I had this thing, right? I really disliked Damian. Right. As a fan, I'm watching the Batman ones, and I'm like, oh, let me kill him. As far back as Teen Titans Judas Contract, I was like, can I kill Damian? He's like, no, more plans for him. Instead, you're gonna do a little romance with Raven, like continue that, because there was Justice League versus the Teen Titans, right? Which was the very first one. It's like you have to continue that. You're gonna give him a dog at the end. We're gonna need that, and a couple other things that we're gonna settle up. But then it came around, and he's like, "You can kill him." And by that time, when I like put in that extra scene with him in Batman Hush about talking about protection for Batman, Right. And I'm like, now I'm kind of digging. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to. He's like, but don't worry. I want Raven to turn into White Raven and bring him back. I'm like, oh, so I get to kill him and he comes back.
Right.
Best of both worlds. In fact, we killed Constantine and brought him back in the season. That thing had so many subplots. There was like 4 romances I was dealing with.
Yeah.
Davy Ray, Lois and Clark, Batcats, and Constantine Zatanna were the main ones. But then you got other stuff like, Constantine and King Shark. That have to have a moment, right?
Right.
Right? Like all sorts of weird things. And everybody gets a great death scene in a little arc. And so it's like, oh, that was one of the funnest things that I've ever written.
Yeah, like that was like a huge level event, that movie. And again, look, I told you before, I stand on it today. I enjoyed it a lot, like a lot.
I did too.
I think my only issue with it was that like that was it. Like right after that was it. We're done. Like that was the crescendo. We're moving on now. Because I'm like, how does that world look now? You know what I'm saying? And then you give us this, and it's like, well, there you go.
Well, like people, I get it when people go, so it all didn't exist, right? But the truth is, if we pile our nerd hats on here,
let's get them on.
Mine's like a bald cat, right? but it has all the wires running down my back.
Right.
It's like, so in Flashpoint, this was a rogue reality that was created at that moment that lasted for the 16 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So really, to get us back on track, it had to end. It had to be, but it happened. I'm like, people go, "Oh, it never happened." It's like Constantine remembers.
Yeah.
Like plenty of people remember. Spectre sure as hell remembers this, right? Many other people
remember
that are mystical can remember. Some other people can get their memories back. Who knows who's been saved from that alternate Earth or universe. You never know.
But see, even if you told me it didn't exist anymore, I appreciate it even more because it gave you the freedom to just have so much kind of like leeway with everything, right? Like you can really just go wild with the script because it's like, I'm ending it here, right? Like I don't have to worry about the long lasting consequences of if I wanted Dick Grayson to not live on, or if I wanted Damian Wayne not to live on. It's like, well, those are all things that you can do because we're starting anew. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like that. The freedom of that is what I enjoy even more. If that was the case, was the idea of I'm gonna just go crazy here. I'm gonna do all kinds of stuff.
I think James Tucker had some quote in one of his interviews. I thought it was so funny. He's like, "I'm like a bad tenant getting evicted. I am just wrecking everything." Right? So, I mean, but like there was some stuff that he's like, "No, I want this, I want that," right? And one of my favorite characters to write is Nightwing. And I go, "Oh my God, you've done him so dirty." Like I got to write any sort of lines for him. Like after this great moment in Hush, where like Batman's thinking he's an equal, and and he's just like, "Wow," like crazy guy. But the thing was, there was no room. There was no room. I mean, like there's so, I'm surprised we crammed so much, and somehow he got that to be 90 minutes, and they're supposed to be 72. So I don't know how.
No, but and I'm gonna pass it to Joel because he has a few questions. I'm not gonna hold you that long, Ernie. But see, knowing you is why I appreciate what you just said, because like we talked about it with Injustice, right? Like people getting so butthurt that literally all 90 million issues of that one comic weren't jammed into one movie, right?
That
like,
killed me. Yeah.
It's like if you guys if you guys just knew what Ernie like had to do to just make that work, right? You know what I'm saying? And you gave a lot of the big points, right, of that whole series, but it gets so wild that it's like I can't put everything in here, guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't understand that, and that's why I love having these talks with you to try to maybe help get them to understand that it's not as simple as you walking into James and going, "Hey, I'm putting all 97 issues in one movie. You like it or you don't, it's happening." Like, no, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
look, right when that popped over, to me, I was like, so is it gonna be like a trilogy, or something, right? Or I mean, like Long Halloween was 2.
Right.
Long Halloween was 2. That was only 12 issues, I think. I was like, 12 issues into it, right? I mean, like, so this has got to be at least 2, maybe 3. And they're like, "No, 1." I'm like, 1? and then the other thing that gets me is people are like, should have been a show like Invisible, like hour long, like 10 episodes, maybe 3 or 4 seasons. We're in the movie section. Like, I don't get to go like, there are other people, doing the shows. It's like, it's like, you know what? Executive of movies, you clear out. Get the TV guy in so I can explain why this should be a 3-season show. Right?
You know the biggest problem is, as I pass it to you, Joel, the biggest problem, Ernie, is I feel as though we know James, right? We know how big James is in the entire animated industry, what he's done for DC animation and everything.
Definitely.
Problem is James is, I feel, is so reserved. He's not as visible as like a Kevin Feige, right? Or a Kathleen Kennedy. So it's like a lot of the world only sees you, right? And it's like, well, you wrote it. I'm putting all the blame on you. No, because I see a lot more people that know of you than that even know of James. You know, so it's like
that can't be right.
I promise you that. Because
although I gotta say, that's one of the reasons why I like James. Is he's not, this huge like self-promoter. Some people are like, I did everything. I mean, I could never get into that either. I figure my name's on it. If people want to like do some research on who did what, then they'll know. But yeah, I mean, the other thing is internet grading. Internet grading kind of gets me, because whenever, like, if you grade and then you get up there like something's really good, a lot of people will be like, well, I can't give it a 10, right? So I'm in that 7, 8, 9 section, right? And they're thinking really hard. It's like, that was about an 8.5 or something. But if people don't like something about it, like I remember one comment was, didn't have Alfred the Butler beating up Superman, 1 star. I'm like, that's what set you off? Look, I had to get rid of these huge plot lines that I was like, not Black Canary. I can't I can't fit her. I can't fit the Black Canary Green Arrow romance in, but Alfred beating up Superman like that, that's 1 star.
Which to me, that's not even like the biggest moment. I would be like, find a way to squeeze
it really
in.
Like, 1 star movie?
Not at all. Not at all.
If you hated it, I'd say give it a 3, a 4, or a 5 . But like
a 1, yeah. I mean, look,
there's a lot of kick-ass stuff in that.
Me and Joel have to defend it all the time whenever we talk about Batman Hush. Because anytime someone says that they disliked it, it's always the same thing. Always. Oh, we didn't like the reveal. Like, they never say anything else besides just the reveal. And it's like, well, if that was your only issue, that can't take away from everything else you enjoyed of the accuracy of this movie. But to them, that's it. That's the one thing they want to hang up on. And they never move on from it.
I guess apparently Steven Spielberg is wrong. Steven Spielberg in front of Jaws said, I guess someone at Benchley or something did a lot of research, right? And he's like, well, a bullet wouldn't explode if it hit a pressurized oxygen tank. The oxygen would just go, it's not flammable shit.
Right.
Steven Spielberg goes, if I have them until there, they will buy it. If they are with me, right? But apparently not the internet crowd. The internet crowd you can please up until 99%, and then, well, at least a few people, of them. And then you do something wrong at the end. It's like, that kiss wasn't really good. 1 star. 1.
So I want to pass it to Joel. Joel wanted to talk a little bit about, we just got the trailer for the new Green Lantern movie, animated movie that's coming out, which Joel has been dying to get Green Lantern anything. Like anything. So Joel, I want to pass it off to you. Go ahead, you got the floor.
Well, I really just, as a huge fan of the Green Lantern, and the fact that Jill didn't really have a solo movie in the last movie arcs, the last animated universes they had, unfortunately. I'm glad that
we did Jon Stewart dirty.
Yeah,
I will say that also.
But I mean, I'm still happy you guys put him in there. You put him in Justice League Dark, and they love how they explained it away. I mean, even it worked though. It worked very well. But look, he's finally getting his own animated movie, and they're going like, that's my question, I guess. Why Jon Stewart this time around as the lead Green Lantern as opposed to Hal Jordan, which I'm fine with. I'm just curious.
Well, this one I can actually answer. I think that DC has felt that Jon Stewart has not gotten his due as one of the crown jewels and
Absolutely.
one of the main lanterns, right up there with Hal Jordan. I mean, Hal Jordan's always going to be the first, right? So, but I think they think really that he should be really like 1A. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
after he took over in the Justice League cartoons that Dwayne McDuffie ran, and they want to give him a little more profile. So in this animated movie, and this is kind of a big moment, because if you think, and I've heard the complaints when I was a fan. I happen to like the big three and Justice League. Okay, right? So you get your Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Justice League Adventures, right? For a long time, that's all they did.
Sure.
So now we're trying to get in like a Constantine, and I think this is super important, because with Constantine, he had to be with Batman. I didn't mind the team up because it was World's Greatest Magical Detective and World's Greatest Detective together. That's a great thing. Other people are like, no, it's just for Batman and for sales. Yes, it is for sales, because if you just do a Constantine movie right out the gate, people don't like it, he doesn't get another movie for 10 years.
Yeah.
So in this one, they're taking a huge chance, because his sidekick is Green Arrow. The focus is all on him. Well, there are some secrets, and I would say that anybody gets in a twist about any particular thing could wait until the movie's released.
I'll wait. I have patience.
Look, you've never failed me, so you got me. I'm waiting, but go ahead.
Well, and I'm totally remiss here. I co-wrote this hand in hand with John Semper, who is he's the guy who gave me my first writing job.
Wow.
Really?
In the mid-90s on the mid-90s Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's a producer, showrunner of Spider-Man, which was the #1 show. Actually, we would get better ratings than Batman the Animated Series, but they got all the awards, deservedly so.
That's
I mean, like they deserved awards. I'd say some of Spider-Man does also, but I love that show. I would have worked on both of the shows. But
yeah, I could definitely see how Batman got the awards, because you could definitely make the argument just people knowing who Batman was had been something kind of like long-standing. In Spider-Man, I believe the start of his peak of his popularity, I would argue would be like late 80s, early 90s, really, where it started to become like a like everyone knows Spider-Man, like the world knows Spider-Man. It's not one of those niche things.
Yeah. Well, as far as cartoon wise, kids 6 to 11, Spider-Man never lost to Batman the Animated Series or X-Men. Never.
Wow.
5-year run, it was '1.
I was one of those kids, so I can't really argue.
Yeah, I mean, look, coming out of the 90s, the 90s literally kind of raised kids to be Wolverine, Batman, Spider-Man, right? Like you came into the 2000s with that being the crowning jewels. So definitely hats off to you guys, because Spider-Man the Animated Series started the fandom for a lot of 90s babies, like 80s, 90s babies. So definitely hats off. But go ahead, Joel.
Oh, well, my other question regarding Green Lantern, who makes the decision as to what characters get put into this movie? Like you said, Green Arrow's in it. I think I saw Vixen in it. That was cool, because talk about a character that doesn't get a lot of push. I love that they threw in Vixen. And so I'm just curious, it's obviously a little Justice League, Martian Manhunter we saw in the trailer too. So I'm just curious, what is the decision process there?
Well, that's a Butch mostly. But with input from Jim Krieg, and then there's also the marketing aspect. Now, see, here's where this. I mean, you gotta remember. It was like, so I had my comic book phase, right? But then I went to college, like in the '80s, and I'd read less and less. Like I don't think I the last thing I might have read live is something like Hush, right? Those 12 issues.
Right.
And then I started working in the industry so I could read stuff sporadically.
Mhm.
I hadn't heard of Vixen before they did that short series, like short movie of Vixen,
Right.
which was James again, right? So then you see her in a couple of things. You know, I don't know if she was in Hell to Pay or not. No. But now she's here, right? Now she's here. She's at least at the Justice League table in some of mine, right? Non-speaking role. Sometimes that's how they do it. You know, it's like there's Martian Manhunter, the non-speaking role. I think that was in when they were talking in Justice League Dark.
Yes.
Look at it, you know, you had your Superman, Batman, like horror in the beginning, and then it became John Constantine, you know, like at the end, right? Or Batman had to go deal with it, and he was like, ugh.
Yep.
But so yeah, that's a mostly creatively who else is going to be in it are characters that Butch and the animators and Jim kind of like. Sometimes when the writer's in the room pitching early, I could go, you know, hey, what about this? You know, what about some God, what's his name? Gamester? No, the games I'm forgetting him. Now I'm blowing your
No, I like what you're saying, because remember our last interview, you were telling me how when when you were writing Injustice, you were looking for a way to put Plastic Man in there. Like you were like, just like, how can I get this guy in there? And then to me, he was like some of the most fun I had coming out of a movie that shouldn't have had a tone of fun, but I had so much fun with him. In seeing him utilized that way.
That's based on, you know, great comic series and great video game. But mostly it's on the comic series, as I'm not a video game guy. So I knew I wanted him in there, and I knew there was so much of it that somewhere, at some time in the series, he probably did some Plastic Man.
Yeah.
So basically that was like in year 4 or 3, 4, 5, I don't even know, right?
It was 4. I think it was 4. Yeah.
Like, all right, how can I jam that? If there truly is only going to be one, and you know, I've been kind of pushing for like a Plastic Man solo, and they're like, no, Plastic Man, what? No, you know. So I was like, God, if I can show him how cool he can be, maybe he'll get like an extended short, like a 25-minute of one of his best adventures, and then if that does really well, then you know, whatever. So that's his kind of like audition, right? I didn't want him not to do it, and the thing is, suddenly, like, all right, you know, that movie leaked, right? And then there was all this ton of bad press because, like, you killed the Flash, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right. Oh, Alfred Disney beat up Superman. 1 star. Right. so they're like, the thing is, at the end of the day, you know, then we were in the middle of the pandemic, right? And it went up on HBO Max, and it was downloaded like crazy, a crazy amount, like in downloads. It finished like 6th or something out of all the movies of anything, right? Like on the downloads, it was really high for like a week or 2 that it came out. And then when it came out on HBO Max, the only thing that it came in second to was Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. Right. Wow. So you had Warner Brothers going, we spent $125 million. And right next to it, this movie we spent $2 million on has, you know, is got second place. Right. So it's like, oh, you know, we love the script so much. It leaks. The reviewers are killing it. Maybe it's not that good. Oh man, it's the people are downloading it like crazy. It's the, you know, so like it goes up and down. The downloads and stuff for that thing were really good. So maybe they will make it. They'll just come. They could reboot it totally. They could make it into a series. right? They can, you know, do it right as a series. See if that works. You know,
that is part of the problem of the internet, though, because what they'll do is like they'll follow their favorite blogger, right? And the blogger will go, Flash dies, Alfred doesn't punch Batman, 1 star, right? And then without watching it, they'll immediately go, I don't want to watch it. Then they'll just happen to come across it on HBO Max, watch it and go, I really freaking like this thing. And it's like, why didn't I give it a chance before? And it's like, because you're listening to people that are swaying you instead of just watching it. And then if you don't like it, you don't like it, but just watch it first, right? Give it a chance. Clear your head. So when you say that, that doesn't shock me at all, because we see it, me and Joel see it every day. The internet is filled with, oh, they said it wasn't good, I won't watch it. What? like what? Yeah. So I don't understand that. But before we let you go, Joel, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Not really. I do have one more question, I guess. You did mention that you loved writing John Constantine. So like, is he your favorite character to write, or do you have a favorite character to write?
He is my favorite. He's up there. I got like a little triumvirate. I mean, Batman is, Batman's a little easy because he's got the code and he's always gruff, you know, and he doesn't make jokes, right?
Right.
And I love the joke thing, right? So I guess my like top 3 are Constantine, Nightwing, and Guy Gardner. But Constantine and Guy Gardner, actually, they're both bastards with a heart of gold. Yes. Right? They're both kind of a-holes. Constantine's the worst because he will murder you.
Right.
Like, he's in the best interest.
He is.
He will leave your ass in hell to be eaten by a succubus or whatever, right? Whereas, you know, Guy's better, but he does not mind calling you an asshole. And so he's not like spitting balls. Hal Jordan's coming in. He's like Superman, Green Lantern, right? He's like, whatever. I mean, that's why you like some of these other characters like Jon Stewart, because they come from the streets. They're like a little less like, okay, that guy's a little much, you know, like of a Boy Scout, right? Exactly. Experiences pre being a superhero, which is great. But yeah, so it's really cool. I mean, to write all sorts of different characters. But usually you get, you know, in a grouping, you're gonna just have to like, it's like, now I gotta write what's a shark from some sort of bad experiment, like what's his personality, you know, like, you know, like the weird ones, right, are always they're kind of fun too. But so
I definitely can't wait for the day that James is just like, so here's Guy Gardner, here's Constantine, figure out a way to make it work, put them together. Like, go have fun with the 2 of those guys.
Boy, that would be fun. I have this story, I mean, that I'm tinkering around with, you know, for a comic book on it's John Constantine and Wonder Woman, and they have to, you know, and she just drives her crazy. like, hey, princess, I'm shy. Stop hitting on me. Oh my God, I'm gonna chop your head. I just think it would be like such a great pairing. You know?
So my last question, as we end this, Ernie, is me and Joel asked James this years ago, and his answer shocked us. So I want to see if it's updated at all within the studio. So how often do you get like a concept of like you get, not you specifically, but like the animation team of like, all right, we're gonna do Wonder Woman. How often in like the last few years do you run into the studio kind of going like, hey, no, I want to do something Wonder Woman for Lego or live action, like hold off on that? Like, how often are you greeted with a stop sign, or is it kind of seem like freedom now to where you can
that's not me. That's above my pay grade.
Gotcha.
I'm a writer. That's more of a Jim and a Butch right now, or a James when he was around, but also marketing will come and go hey, this thing's pretty popular. Can we do something with this? You know, you know, we like what was the one that had Justice League, like God, the Furious Five or something?
Yes. Yeah.
What was it? It wasn't called that, but anyway, they love the title of it. Like you know, it's the guys bringing in just titles of here's some things that we can
sounds cool.
out of it. And yeah, if it does say like, you know, like, because they don't know. They're not like in publicity or sales, they are not mostly huge comic book fans, right? But then like Batman Hush, could that be good? Hush, I don't know. It's like hush, little baby. It's like, oh, it's a villain though, and he's killing people. It's like, oh, okay, and then that he's trying to kill Batman, and is the Joker in it? Yes, he can be. A major part. Now he is. That's how stuff changes. He is now. Right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's essentially what James was telling us to a degree. He elaborated a little bit more. But essentially
he's in those meetings.
Right, yeah.
Krieg, like they have a meeting. I don't know when it is, like once a quarter or something, where they're thinking about doing some new stuff, right? And they go, oh, what about we do this? What about we do that? You know, and at one of those meetings like 2 years ago, it was like, we think we should do probably right after Black Panther or Wonder Woman came out. And it's like, we should start feeding different audiences, different characters. What do we got? John Stewart's like the second biggest Green Lantern, you know, he's African American. Yes. Start figuring something out like that, you know? And so it just starts, you know, that way. Or it's James wanting to do it, you know? Right. It's like, you know, this needs to be rectified. Right. Yeah. Like they'll push for that too.
I assume when he wants to do something that there's not that much of a pushback. I believe he's given enough to where they can go, okay, we trust you. Go ahead.
Everybody seems to get pushback you know, at different times. You'd be surprised.
That's fair.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna mention any like DC names, but I'll just go back. Like Stanley Kubrick wanted to make his Napoleon War of 1812 movie, and it never got made, you know? Right. I mean, like on page 1 of the script, I think, or one of the famous action lines of a script of like, here's an unproducible script. 250,000 men march up a hill. As soon as the studio sees that, they're like, what the hell is Stanley thinking? You know, you're gonna want a quarter. It's like, let's gather up everybody in Yugoslavia, so this area of Yugoslavia, so they can march up a hill, and we're gonna have to pay them like what, 5? I don't even know what's the dinars. Right. I don't know. Right? Yeah. Wow. That's the like the conversation that goes in. It's like, no, Stan, no quarter, no Napoleon. Make something else. It's like, what else do you have? It's like, I got this thing where I want to try out my new lenses. It's set in the 1800s, and I'm going to use candlelight. It's called Barry Lyndon. Yes, that sounds way better. $10 million to go do that, you know? Or I got this space thing I might want to do, you know? Right. 2001.
Well, look, as long as they continue getting Ernie to write the stories, I will be there. I am one of your biggest fans. You know, I love talking to you all the time. Everybody, please go out. DC Showcase Constantine, the House of Mystery. Go out and look. I know everyone usually says, you know, wait till it streams or whatever. Go out and buy it. If you can, go buy it. It's worth it. It's so much fun, I promise you. Don't wait. Get it now. Wherever it is, go get it now. Watch it. It's so much fun. And look, we see something like Legends of Tomorrow that got canceled, right? That's where we saw Constantine. So for everyone who's missing Constantine, there you go. You got your fill right there. He's back. Right, he's back animated. same voice, so you're not really missing much.
Yeah, really.
So if you need your Constantine fix, you know where to go to get it. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the release of this Green Lantern movie that's coming out. I have so many questions. I cannot wait to have them answered when I watch it.
You gotta wait.
I have so many questions.
Maybe
I cannot wait.
Things will become clear. It's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. It looks very cool. The animators. I mean, it's also important to say, like, you interview any one person that's kind of like me-centric all the time, but there's an army. There's like an army of animators and people that get the checks out on time and like make sure the meetings occur between the people that have to, and go cast the movie. The stars from TV and from other Warner Brothers shows and stuff. And it's like everybody works together, Nobody's trying to tank anything. Every now and again, it's like they just wanted to take this property so they could screw it up. It's like, I guarantee you that is not why they did this property, to like disappoint you, right?
Yeah, because one thing Ernie, is that a studio will not give money for something they don't think can make money. So
screw up
the likelihood
on too many of them, and you're gonna get. They're gonna find someone else that might not screw up as much.
But look, Ernie, we're living it. We got one Green Lantern movie, and they just refuse to give us anything live action Green Lantern. Like, it took this much time, so we're seeing the ramifications of. It only takes one mess up, and that character could be gone. So it's like we see it.
That one hits a little close to Krieg and myself, because we didn't get a second season of Green Lantern the animated series.
I know,
and that is a quality show. Bruce Timm's first CG show, freaking brilliant storytelling.
Amazing.
If I'll pat myself a little bit,
100%, yes.
I was part of it. That's a huge part.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Ernie, because I have to just know this. Me and Joel have always wanted to know this. Seeing the animation style of that series, seeing the animation style of Beware the Batman, were there ever plans to combine the two of those? Like to start to build a universe between the two of those?
That's the above my pay grade type thing. But now that I look at it, it was kind of like, what was Beware the Batman? Bruce Timm, or did they just use the designs?
They might have just used the design. I'm not sure if he actually had any work on it, but the animation looked exactly the same. So like part of me was like, oh, maybe they're just building to it. Like they're trying to like establish Green Lantern show, Batman show, and then maybe bring them together.
They might have used the same production company. I think it's in India or something, like CCG or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
And as they did, so that sometimes gets to look the same. But the animation supervisor from that, I believe, was the same animation supervisor that's doing Young Justice.
Got you. Okay. Got you.
So his designs are very different. Yeah, I think they might look alike because of CG, but I bet it's the company, because it is a weird, like, boy, they got some pushback on that Batman, right? Mm-hmm. And then you look at this movie, it kind of has some similarities, right?
Yes, it does.
Like the stuff.
Yep. So, but no, we love that show. And look, we saw what the fans did for the Snyder Cut. We saw what the fans did for Young Justice to bring it back. We will try to continue to fight that Green Lantern fight however we can, because that was quality television. Quality.
We had so many great ideas.
Oh my God. You could tell just by the writing there was good ideas coming. That's sad,
I mean, there is like so many cool things that were going to happen when we realized that we weren't coming back. That's the only reason they gave the blue ring in. That was gonna be like, oh, that'll be season 2. That was my last point of let's save it. Now I jam in everything. Like that's I'm like, every kick-ass moment that I can get in from Injustice is going in, because there might only be one, or it might be 10 years or 20 before they get back to it. Right. I mean, like, hopefully that's not going to be the case, but with Green Lantern, they have all the CG assets and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder why they you know. As a fan, I want to see more. You know, they're not going to bring back the original team. I mean,
Right.
Rick Morales is now doing all the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing all of the the karate ones and many others. You know, he did all these shorts. He did every short in this House of Constantine thing, right? So I don't think they're going to stick him with a show. That's more of a starting thing before you rise up.
Yeah, right.
You know, so
I never understood that because I'm like,
Sam Liu was the other director, and he does
Sam Liu. I love Sam Liu.
Sam Liu's awesome too. Damn.
I don't know who they would, you know, like maybe
Also
Bruce
doing
Timm
movies.
would be the glue. Bruce
Would
Timm
have
might-
to be the glue. Yeah. And you know, one of the things that keeps me up is like the idea of if you want to figure out how popular this character really is, right? To me, I've always been of the mindset you start with animation, right? So it's like we have the animated movie coming out, but like a cartoon series, right? That could kind of stretch its arms between children and adults, right? You know, to where as though you kind of feel as though some of these movies are not necessarily catered to like 5, 6, 7, 8. They're kind of catered to like 12 and up more so. So I'm like, bring the animated series back that can grab a larger audience of everybody. And then I guarantee you by the time you're ready to do a live action Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan, the popularity will be through the roof. It just will. We see it with Young Justice. If they wanted to take anybody from Young Justice and do a live action, it would work. Why? Because the popularity for that show is through the roof.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a Nightwing movie. I think a Nightwing movie.
Oh yeah,
would be great.
I feel like it's coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, they want to do everything, and they think they're going to get to every single thing. But it's like it's not fast enough for the fans.
Oh.
Or for me,
That is true. I was about to say, yeah, for me, I'm like, as you're talking about, I'm like, somebody better be working on a Nightwing movie somewhere. Like, writing it as we're talking.
You realize, like, before Green Lantern, the animated series, the other Green Lantern show was the Filmation Green Lantern. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I don't even think I saw that.
Oh, man, it's
Wow.
It has a person riding on Green Lantern's back through space for a lot of it.
That
like
version,
his little buddy. It is laughable. It's for like 4 to 7, you know, like
60s.
And yeah,
oh my goodness,
Filmation stuff. And and then so that we were the next Hal Jordan Green Lantern, because during the Justice League ones, it was Jon Stewart.
Right.
But that's how you get those characters soaked in to where the next, people will demand a Vixen movie or something.
Right.
You got to start it somewhere. So that's it.
Yeah. No, look, Ernie, we always enjoy being able to sit down and talk with you. It's always a geek fest. You know that. We always geek out completely. Like I said, guys, make sure you check out Constantine, House of Mystery. Like I said, such a fun time. And then if you have not seen the trailer for the new Green Lantern animated movie, please make sure you go out. Yes, please make sure you go check it out immediately. And Ernie, as always, thank you so much. My only ask of you is please find a way to, if you do get to write another Batman animated movie, get me Kite Man or Condiment King up in there, Ernie. Figure out a way to do that.
I think someone's doing the live action Kite Man, or it's going to be in a show. And
they're doing the animated series for him. But I know Ernie can find a fun and unique way to put it into a Batman animated movie.
Well, now it wouldn't be a Batman, but I think you'd like it. The thing that I've been trying to push for, and now if they use this Kite Man, they probably use this, is the War of Jokes and Riddles.
Oh my God!
Right? So Kite Man would be a perfect. That to tell it through his eyes would be perfect for a movie,
right?
Like a DTV. Right. Because you get too crazy on both Joker and the Riddler are like they're like icing, so you can't have just like the cake is like there's no No, that's not good. They're like sauce. They're like sauce, okay? There's like cranberry sauce and whatever, but you got no steak underneath. You're just like filling up on sugar. If all you see is like great scenes with the Joker and the Riddler, right? You need to be grounded, but they purposefully like took. I know Bruce Wayne was in there and he tried to do a peace treaty at one point, but Batman was not chasing those two guys during this. He had to do something else. I think in the continuity, maybe he was in space or something, or I don't know. He was doing some big Justice League thing, so he couldn't, they couldn't deal with it, or it was just in Elseworlds. I don't know, but it was really cool, and to tell it through a small villain caught in the wake of these two like mega villains with armies. I think that's a great movie. I think so. Either I want to watch that as a fan, or I'd love to write that.
I mean, at this point now, you have to write it, right? Like, who else would be this passionate about something like that, right?
You're preaching to the choir, but you're way overestimating my power.
You got swing. Come on.
I believe I've decided on my next project. That is not the way this goes. All right. But it's nice that you guys think that,
I believe it. I believe it.
Naivete on how it goes. If Ernie wants it, it'll get done.
I will forever believe that. Till I interview James and he tells me otherwise. That's how it goes around there. Ernie just walks in and goes, "I want all of this," and I'm writing it down.
Don't tell him that I said that. You can watch him laugh when you say, "We pictured this is how it happens." Ernie barges into your office and goes, "I want to do this," and he convinces you with his passion. So see how he reacts to that. All right.
I just picture James going, "Is this what he told you?" It's like, no.
Yeah, no, that's exactly
like,
But Ernie, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Joel, thank you for joining me. Can't wait till the next time we talk, which will be when the Green Lantern animated movie comes out for sure. So,
all right.
Till then, thank you, Ernie.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.